Authority, July 9th, 4 o'clock, and call to order. I'm sure it's been done correct, Rick? Then
just
the
did.
roll call, and that's been pretty good, right? Everybody's here but Megan. You made a note of that. And
It's
swearing in of a new member, Nicholas Lucina.
So I think he's already been sworn in by the clerk, so we're good there.
Already been?
Yep.
So that's all been approved, okay. And then we'll move to approval of the agenda. So at this time, we could need a motion to approve the agenda that we have in front of us.
I'll make a motion.
And, all right, that motion was made. I'll need a
Second.
A second.
What we have in front of us is the meeting minutes, isn't it?
The agenda. Should be for
Minutes
today.
from-
There's the agenda right there.
Those were
Okay, there it is.
what was the minutes from.
Today. Well, okay, I make copies, but anyhow. Where the heck, oh yeah, so we need approval. Motion was seconded, right?
Seconded, yes.
Any discussion over the agenda? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Public comments on agenda items. This time, the chair will ask if there's any public comments on agenda items. Ta-da, no public comment. Okay, then we'll approval of minutes. At this time, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority can take action to approve the July 9th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, seconded, and then seconded. All right, well, wait, you want to turn that off or?
Was that by Viter seconded?
Yeah, second.
Yeah, he should, all right. Any discussion over the motion to approve the minutes?
None.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, then we move down to the public hearing. We have no public hearing. Then we move down to the financial reports, which will turn over to the Brownfield Administrator, Ed Bradford. Will let us know how that turned out.
Yeah, so I included the financials in your packet. There was one invoice paid from Fishbeck, which was for work on a Brownfield plan for Washington Street. And then I included the balance sheet. This is as of 7/31/24. It does not reflect the tax increment financing distributions I made in August. So there's a large balance in tax capture payable that got paid out in August to the parties that were entitled to it. And then the revenue and expense, we had some reimbursement from, that is actually from the 141 Washington Street, so that's the fees that they needed to pay for their Brownfield plan. And then we had the one invoice for Fishback, and we had some printing and publishing for the public hearing notice for the 141 Washington Street. Any questions on the financials?
We don't know about it. Need approval on that or a motion to?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, please.
Approval on the financials.
Make a motion, Shell?
I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
And seconded?
Second.
There's second. All in favor, or any discussion over the financial report? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Ed, what else you got? Anything?
That's all on the financials.
That's all you have there?
Yep.
Okay, and then finance, okay. Take action, approve, new business, approval of a brownfield plan for the 91 Arthur Street redevelopment project. The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority received an application from Vanderhoff Development LLC for a redevelopment project funding for the 91 Arthur Street redevelopment project. The project includes redeveloping property by demolishing the existing functional obsolete structure and constructing a new approximately 3,000 square feet waterfront restaurant, phase 1. Additional phases of redevelopment involve the construction of a seawall and site improvements in phase 2, and the construction of a boathouse and amphitheater, phase 3. The boathouse bar is expected to be approximately 2,000 square feet. Brownfield Authority consultant Fishbeck prepared a brownfield plan that has been reviewed by the city. The plan anticipates 7,600 $769,304 in eligible activities. At this time, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority can act to approve the Brownfield plan contingent upon the city, the Brownfield administrator, and developer entering into a development agreement.
Mr. Chair, I have the developer, Bridget, here, as well as our consultant and her consultant. If you have any questions, or if you want her to give you a little bit of an overview of the project. They went in front of city council, but the plan has changed a little bit since then, and that's been probably at least a year ago. I think you were in front of council now.
Last week.
It was the planning commission last week.
Yeah, but previously there was a presentation to council a while back. So if you'd like to have them give a thing, I have a,
Questions? You want to step to the podium if one of you would like to answer?
Sure.
I mean, if
Hi,
there are.
Bridget. Nice to see you again.
Huh,
Saw you
nice
last
to
week. So really how this project started is it started out to just be the restaurant. And initially when I bought this property, it was going to be no problem, fix the docks, you know, the seawall's there, it's in fairly decent shape. As we got into the project, whether we do phase 2 or 3 or not, that seawall has to be fixed, the docks have to be removed. It's a hazard to the city, it's a hazard to the boaters, is what I want to say, it's a hazard to the boaters. It's a hazard to have it sitting there like that. I've been working with Eagle for almost 18 months now to try to get me a permit to get those torn out of there. As we got into this and started working with Eagle to come up with a plan, they wanted this, they discovered that little point that goes out there that's not really colored, but the point that goes out is wetlands. So we've got to do something with that. They want the seawall repaired, they want it beautified. I've got to plant some native plants and do all kinds of stuff. As this goes forward, we're talking, now we're in hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this seawall fixed. You really don't want the restaurant there without that fixed and repaired because you're going to have somebody get hurt. And so we started laying out the entire property piece. On the left, if you look at this, the left side of that is the 3,000 square foot restaurant, which will be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I do have 2 liquor licenses. I would intend that the docks and the seawall would actually be repaired in phase 1. The seawall or the boathouse is, whether it's 2,000 square feet or, we squeeze that down a little bit because of parking need, that is yet to be determined exactly how large that will be. But really the idea for fixing the seawall and putting in finger docks is to do picnic boat rentals. Some of you know what Duffy boats are, or the little like round, what do they call them, donut boats, for lack of a better word. We call them picnic boats. But to have that as kind of a community event space where people can come down, listen to a little live music, do a picnic boat rental, get lunch, get dinner in the mornings. That orange area that's on the outside of the restaurant, I have pre-purchased some very beautiful bluestone, so it'll be a bluestone patio where you'll be able to sit and have your coffee and watch the swans and sunrise. But I can't move forward with this without some help. With that, what I paid for the property and then coming in with this huge cost for the seawall repair and what Eagle wants me to do, and Army Corps of Engineers is involved, it's nearly impossible without some help. Go ahead.
Being the new member here, Eagle means nothing to me. What is
The environmental, what is the thing for Eagle? It's environmental,
Great
Lakes
Lakes,
Center.
something. It used to be
Great
the
Lakes Center.
it's a state or
state.
Is
It
it?
used to be DEQ.
okay, it's a state agency.
It's a state agency, and they oversee anything connected to the water. I live on the water. If I wanted to put a dock in, I'd have to go through them.
And have they approved this layout?
They have now,
They
finally.
have?
Yes, we're just waiting for the sign off of the Army Corps of Engineers, and I got an email from them today, and she says by the end of September, they'll have signed off.
So your enthusiasm's well received.
Thank you.
As we all know, the Army Corps of Engineers was recently here and was able to contract out a failed riverbank slide, which we don't want to happen again. The only question I have actually is this. The parking spaces, and so for about 3 years of my career, I was in the civil engineering
Okay.
company doing project layouts similar to what you have here. And my concern on this view is the parking lot is probably slanted towards the river slightly.
No, it's flat.
It is flat.
It's flat.
Okay.
And we discussed this last week. We're doing sheeting. The runoff will be sheeted.
Okay.
Runoff, and it,
That's the whole question.
Okay,
Everybody's
perfect.
looked at that.
yes, we've already looked at that. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Yes?
Question, I mean, it looks like a really, really good project,
Thank you.
and I I appreciate the difficulty you're mentioning with the seawall. Will you be able to start building the restaurant without fixing the seawall?
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't attempt it because without fixing that seawall, patrons are going to, we get a little kid, parents are playing outside and somebody steps on one of those docks they're going through. We had one break loose last week and it was floating out in the river and it had to be towed. And we can tow it out. If it breaks loose, we can tear it out. But unless it breaks loose, those are just sitting there falling apart. It's a mess and dangerous.
Right. So that's phase one then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to.
I know I asked about the timeline, but for their information, what's your timeline?
Well, as you were here last week, the builder was here. He's ready to roll. I mean, we're literally waiting on this sign off. So if we get this taken care of, I believe we have to still go in front of the planning commission, or no, city council, sorry. All you guys. And then as soon as that's done, he's ready. We have contractors already. I mean, I've hired the builder. The sub are all ready. Swiderski's doing the excavation and doing the seawalls. So, and again, we're trying to do as much local as we possibly can. Gary is actually just out of Traverse City. He's not southern Michigan, and so he's been able to use some of the local talent to get ready to pull this off. So we're excited for it, and I think it's something Manistee needs. It's hard to get breakfast here
Yeah, it is.
without waiting in line.
Yeah, it is. I have a question, if you don't mind.
No.
On that seawall, you're gonna build it from your property line to your property line?
No,
Beyond the seawall of your property is what I was gonna say. You know what I'm trying to say? Are you attaching to another seawall?
yes,
That's-
we're continuing that, yes.
But that seawall is approved already?
That seawall is all set, that's already
So
done.
you're just continuing on?
So if you look, I mean, I can kind of point out, if you look at this map, the seawall about up to this point is okay.
Oh,
Here down, this is where it's all falling in and all those old docks are.
Oh, yeah,
It's just
yeah,
a
yeah.
mess.
okay.
So, which is why I don't want to take the responsibility of owning a piece of property halfway finished.
Right, okay. So I was just wondering if it's just gonna be a piece, but no, you're continuing on and then it'll end past your property line, I'm assuming.
Well, not past my property line, because I can't, but it'll go
Well,
right
no.
up to the ships.
Right, okay, yeah, right up to the
Yeah. And we're working with them with the parking lot too, so we're gonna share and get some synergy going with them,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, we talked about that, was a good idea, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Any other questions, by the committee?
So, Roger, if you don't mind, I'd like Kirk to kind of just run briefly through the Brownfield plan, just so you guys have an idea of what's going on there. Do you mind running through that?
That'd be good.
I got it up on the screen so I can scroll for whenever you want.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, so it's kind of a stacked or layered incentive. There's an OPRA that's been factored into for the first 10 years, which abates the local taxes. And then the TIF increment goes on the back end. So the whole plan itself extends 30 years with the LBRF a little over a year. So essentially developer reimbursement for 29 years and then the city LBRF for that last 30th year.
oh, yeah,
Total total eligible activity is $772,000, give or take. And then that is reimbursed through the tax increment. We communicated with the city's assessor to make sure that the post-construction taxable value roughly lines up. And then we also factored in a 2% inflation rate. because properties are going to keep inflating over the years. The other part of this, so the Brownfield plan includes local tax increment and also state tax. So we'll be working with the development team to prepare an Act 381 work plan to get approval for the state side of the Brownfield TIF as well. And I believe initial conversations have been good with MEDC? Yeah. Perfect. So the state side is looking to be in good shape once that plan is prepared.
Yeah, not to sound too, but who might you be?
Oh, my name's Kirk Perschbacher. I'm a senior Brownfield specialist with Fishbeck. So I work directly with Roman.
So usually
okay,
from-
okay.
Yeah, usually you see Roman, so I'm kind of the second to him. So.
Okay, so that's the explanation of a Brownfield authority, just what you told us.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, that makes sense. All right, thank you for that. I didn't realize how that all works.
Yep.
Are there any questions on, any of the eligible costs that were in the plan, or we had them all?
Who
broken out?
determines that?
So we worked with the development team, put together the costs, and then we worked through to make sure that they seemed logical, and then so we kind of worked on the plan together. So.
But who determines what's eligible?
Oh, so what's eligible, so Act 381, which is the Brownfield Act itself, has determined which eligible activities
Right.
that the state considers. So then what we do is we look at everything that's possibly eligible and what the development costs are. So we
Right.
kind of overlay those together, and that's how we determine and how we get to the 770.
Okay,
And none of these costs are reimbursed until the developer, provides invoices and they get approved, and the Brownfield, we argue about them and we come to the number that actually gets reimbursed later down the road.
Yeah.
But there'll be, normally, but this is being fast-tracked, we'll have a development and reimbursement agreement. If this is approved today,
Yeah.
then it will go to city council on October, the first meeting. Because we
Right.
have to have time to have the public hearing and the public notices.
okay.
But because that's a week or so longer than we had hoped to, we wanted to have it on the second meeting in September, but the timeline didn't allow for that. We will get a draft development and reimbursement agreement, get it to the developer, to the attorneys, make sure that's all good. So city council will be able to approve that hopefully on October 1st. But it's gonna have to come back to this board at their meeting in October to approve that as well.
Okay.
Because it's gotta be approved by all three parties.
Author.
So, but that's fine, that can be done, it doesn't have to be done at this meeting, normally it would be, but we didn't have time to get that ready, because we only got the Brownfield plan just a little bit ago.
Oh,
So
that
just
was-
know there's gonna be one more approval for this board if this gets approved.
Okay, that was gonna be my question, just
Yeah.
considering the volatility of developmental costs. I assume there's only a 15% contingency in here, so I assume the city is comfortable with these numbers?
Yeah, there's really no public infrastructure in here, this is all developer costs, so, we've worked with them to make sure that these are the numbers, and, hopefully the costs will stay flat or escalate only minor.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we're done with those days
Has
of
that
huge
happened in the last
inflation.
5 years? I don't think it has, but,
Yeah, and so what your approval basically is for the max amount. So this plant max is at developer 772,000. We've broken it out into what we believe. Now, once the project happens, some of the categories might adjust.
Oh, yeah.
And they can adjust internally, but we can't exceed the 772 without a formal amendment being processed.
Okay.
And like
Okay.
Ed mentioned, it's gonna be what they come in at, these are estimates, and then also it will be, the reimbursement will be based on what the property's actually taxed at.
Right.
We did the best we could to estimate it, but inevitably it will be a little different too. So it may speed up or may slow down too,
All right,
so.
okay.
Yeah, and then we did factor in, like I said, a 2% inflation rate.
2%, yeah.
I think last year was 5%, so obviously it's dependent on how that will fluctuate, so.
Well, the economy.
But
Yeah, the economies.
could you just quickly go through line by line the eligible costs?
Sure. Yep, so we start with,
I got it up on here.
you have it, okay, I have it
Yeah.
up here too, so. Phase 1 environmental site assessment, that's an environmental due diligence activity that's needed to hold the liability protection for the developer. So that's a pretty set in cost. There's no contingency because that's already been done.
Right.
And those are paid out of pre-approved state taxes.
Oh.
So you don't have to get Eagle to do an Act 381 work plan for those. Those are automatically approved for state.
All righty.
The next set demo is pretty clear cut, pre-approved. So demo is pre-approved up to 250,000. So that's another state tax pre-approval. We split out building demo and site demo. It's pretty standard. Infrastructure improvements, these are just various costs that are associated with the development. Yeah, so streets and roads, 38,000, sidewalks, 39, lighting for those, 28, curb and gutter, 14, landscaping, 10, and then soft costs are the associated engineering costs, eligible activities, but they can't really be characterized in a line item, so they're associated, soft costs associated with infrastructure improvements. Site prep is the biggest category. You'll notice we talk about the seawall, but to make it cohesive with MEDC approval, we're calling it the water's edge retaining wall. That'll make it a little easier for them to approve it. So when you see that at 270,000, that is the seawall. That Bridget was
Water is,
mentioning.
okay.
Yep. Clearing, grubbing, pretty standard. It's a lot of these are activities to get the site to be developed. Dewatering, 45, geotech, and balancing. And then the other ones are temporary construction. So they're eligible activities, but they're needed to safely redevelop the property. Contingency, and the contingency is based on contingency of the eligible activities, not the phase one we talked about. And then the 13,000 for preparation and 10,000 for implementation. Those are the costs to get the plans approved by all parties.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
What is staking?
Staking, so that would be like survey staking of property corners, building corners, whatever's associated with the development. So staking the parking lots, staking, any staking associated with the eligible activities. So it could be staking where the retaining wall will be, or where the parking lot will be, or where the
We need
building.
surveying on the property, I would assume, yeah.
Yep, so that's what we call staking. And then the last is, obviously the authority is allowed to capture 10% of the taxes for admin fees. So that's the city's availability every year to capture if they want to. And there is no contingency on admin. Sorry, Ed. And the first few years, the first 10 years of the plan, if you delve into all the tables, there will be significantly less capture, and that's because of the Oprah tax abatement for the first 10 years. And that freezes the taxes at the current level. So year 11 to 29 are significantly higher.
Correct. Any other questions or concerns in regarding to the question before us? If not, at this time, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority can act to approve the Brownfield plan contingent upon the city and the Brownfield Authority and developer entering into a development agreement. So I'm sure you need a motion to that effect, correct? So with that in mind, I would like a motion, if we so desire, or not.
So move.
You make the motion
Yes.
Second?
and second it? Okay. Did you get that, Ed?
Yeah.
Any discussion over the motion? All signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And the motion carries. So you got your little bit we can give you.
And then there's a second part that's coming back in front of Brownfield.
There'll be a
next month.
development agreement, yeah. That'll go to city council first and then come back to
Then
you
come
folks,
back.
so.
Alrighty.
Should we be in attendance at the city council meeting?
You know, it might not hurt, but I'll be there, so, well, actually, I won't be there, so we might want to get somebody to be there, and we might have Kirk or Roman be there as well, just
Oh, I
in
went
case there's
last month,
questions,
too.
so.
Give her a little pump. Alrighty. Okay, then moving along, to old business. We have none. The public comments and communications. Chair will ask if there is any public comments regarding. No one? Correspondence. This time, Chair will ask, any correspondence been received to read into the record?
No
No
correspondence.
correspondence. Staff report. Staff will update the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority on the status of current projects and other matters that need discussion. do we got?
So, you know, we recently approved the 141 Washington project. The city has a project on Lincoln Street right next to it, so that's all torn up. And I think they're, the next step is to kind of get with the land bank to get those grant funds deployed that the land bank gave them so they can kind of get that project started. But I anticipate they're gonna get going still yet this fall. So that's moving ahead. I see T was in the audience. I'm not sure why he was here, but Gateway is still working through the grant loan stuff. You know, they're designing the vapor barrier. I think that's pretty much done, isn't it?
The design is done, it's costing is.
Yeah, so they're working on the costing for the vapor barriers. I mean, they're still putting together the pieces of the development. T may have more comments if he comes back in, I'm not sure. And obviously, we've got this project, which is, you know, moving ahead and likely will get started this fall as well. So lots of good things happening, really. And I think we're seeing a trend here. I mean, developers are looking at Manistee and they're seeing what's going on, and they're seeing that we have boards and commissions that are receptive to the development, and they're offering the incentives that are needed, frankly, in this environment to do any of this work. And so I think that will continue to build, and we're going to get more interest. I think you're going to see interest rates have probably peaked. They're going to start coming down. That's going to help with future developments for costs. So I think things are looking pretty well overall. That's all I have. Do you have anything, Kirk? Anything on the Brownfield front or whatever might be coming down the pipe?
I don't think so. I think at this point, you know, there's a couple projects that have kind of toyed with sending in their applications, and I think we're gonna follow up on those. I think the next big thing that you guys will start seeing is this new MISHDA, Missing Middle Housing TIF.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I can tell you from the authority I sit on, we've had 3 plans that we've approved through our commission already.
Okay.
Oh,
So I can see that coming, but that'll be a topic for a bigger discussion, I can imagine. But I think that's gonna be the next big wave, is gonna be a lot of the housing TIF.
yeah, I would do. Once this hits the fan with that housing, we're gonna have more housing we can shake a stick at.
Tracy Davis did a presentation to council at the last meeting, so.
So, you know, I think we'll be busy.
Is there any news on that project on River Street that was going to be a hotel?
So the developer, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but if not, I'll talk about it now.
Or the Gateway?
No, this is the river, where the old Dolls Reedmore was, it was gonna be the music vault. I can't remember what the address is. They were gonna have a 5-room boutique hotel and a restaurant, and the developer pulled the plug on that. He's got the property on the market. So we are in the process of rescinding the Oprah. The Oprah district is still there, so a new developer could come in and apply for a new Oprah, but we're gonna rescind the certificate. And we can't rescind the Brownfield plan. I think we have to wait 2 years or something before we can rescind the Brownfield plan.
Abandon, or if the person comes along, they could.
If it's the same, yeah. So that's been,
Now for pulling that? I'm just
well, I don't know.
curious.
It's the same developer that has the Outsider, and I think he just said he didn't feel like the market conditions were right, and maybe something else came up.
No, there were issues and little
I think the biggest.
consternation for parking and
Well,
other
but they
things.
also didn't get state historic tax credits, so I don't think that
That would
allowed
be
them to
huge.
proceed. That was part of
Okay.
their capital stack.
Okay.
So, and I think they were trying to stitch together quite a few incentives for that. And if that one domino tumbles, that kind of makes it hard to.
Yeah,
make it
that's
work.
true.
Money's expensive.
Is that it then, Ed?
I think so.
What's that?
That's all.
I don't have
Oh, that's
anything
all you
else.
have?
Yep.
Okay. How about members' discussion? Shelley, you got anything to say?
I don't, thank you.
How you doing, young man? You got any problems?
I'm doing fine, I don't have any problem.
No problems. Ruby, what do you got to say?
Yep.
You see what it's all about? Pretty much.
To a point, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, well, no public comments, I guess. Other than that, we could have, are you waiting for somebody, Ed?
I'm just wondering if T's gonna wander in.
Fine.
Oh, you keep looking at the door, so.
I know, he's talking with Bridget, I think. so.
I can hear him still talking.
Oh, well, if nothing else, we could adjourn.
We can adjourn, and then if you guys
We
wanna chat
adjourn
with him,
it.
we can, so,
When we call.
yep.
Yeah, and you know how the calls go, and sometimes we meet on every month and sometimes we.
So we've got meetings scheduled for this date, for the rest of the calendar year, so I think we'll probably keep those. We'll probably have stuff to talk about. If we don't, I'll cancel them, but
Yeah,
I'd like
all
to
right.
keep them on the calendar for now. I think through January we have them scheduled.
Yeah, otherwise, basically, you see what we get here. It's pretty much sent to us, and you can ask the questions, but, you know.
And I try to send updates, Nick, as
Yeah.
well. If something comes up or something changes, I'll email everybody, so.
But it's pretty much a cut and dry deal by the time it gets here.
Some are lengthier than others. This one was pretty quick.
Yeah.
So we're gonna adjourn, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, adjourn. I'm sorry. Yeah.